Hello, hello. Welcome, guys, to another conversation lesson. Let's get right to it and see what we have for today. Let me just open our Ingu website. I always mention to you guys, you can come here with a friend or by yourself. They have a lot of material you can work through. I think they even offer one-on-one lessons if you are interested in that. But let's see, what shall we read? What shall we read? Japan to jointly develop new fighter jet with UK and Italy. Okay, let's see if we need more military weapons. This is an advanced one. Let's see if you guys can deal with the vocabulary. So as I always mention, I'm going to read the vocabulary first. I'd like you to hit pause after each word, read it out loud, make sure you got the pronunciation down. If the definition that they give you is not clear, just type it in Google. Just say generation meaning in Google, and they'll give you all the different meanings, because sometimes one word can have different meanings depending on the context that we use. All right? So let's start. Generation, one stage or step in the development of a particular product or technology. The company said its next generation console will be released next November. Then we have merge, to join or combine two or more things into a single whole. Heinz and Kraft merged in 2018 to create one of the world's largest food companies. Next is stealth, of aircraft designed so that it cannot be detected by radar or sonar. The Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor is a stealth fighter developed for the United States Air Force in 1996. Capability, the skill, power, or ability to do something, the extent of the ability of a person or thing. I believe he has the capability to win a world championship someday. They have another sentence for us. Managing a team of 25 people is beyond my capabilities. Okay, next one is arms. Not these arms. It's weapons, especially those used by an army. In November 2021, the US and Saudi Arabia signed a major arms deal worth $650 million. And the last one, reluctant, not wanting or not excited to do something. The study found that almost 4 in 10 young people are reluctant to have children due to climate change. All right. Well, let's go right to our article. Again, I'm going to read the whole article at once. You can hit pause after each little paragraph, read it out loud again. I have to say the words out loud. And then at the end, we'll talk about it a little bit more. So here we go. Japan to jointly develop new fighter jet with UK, Italy. Japan announced December 9th that it will develop its next generation fighter jet together with the UK and Italy. For the first time, expanding defense cooperation beyond its traditional partner, the United States. The nations will merge their current plans for development of next generation planes to produce a new aircraft by 2035. The new Mitsubishi FX fighter jet will replace the Eurofighter Typhoon, now in service in the UK and Italy, and the Mitsubishi F2 that Japan previously developed with the United States. Japan's defense ministry said the new aircraft will be a multi-role stealth fighter superior to the Eurofighter. The FX is expected to replace 94 F2s in Japan, 144 Eurofighters in the UK, and 94 Eurofighters in Italy. Further details, including production targets, development cost, and aircraft design, are still being discussed, officials said. The announcement came 4 days after Prime Minister Kishida set spending targets aimed at building up Japan's military capability, including a huge increase in defense spending over the next 5 years. To pay the 5-year spending total of $316 billion, the government will need an extra $30 billion, obviously, in defense spending annually. Of that, a quarter is to be funded through tax increases. Kishida's governing Liberal Democratic Party also wants to further relax restrictions on sharing technology and on arms exports so that FX fighters can be exported. Japan initially considered Lockheed Martin as its partner in developing the next generation fighter, but it gave up the plan, apparently because the US company was reluctant to share its stealth technology. Britain and Italy were chosen as partners after Japan confirmed they would share key information, allowing each country to make its own decisions on repairs, officials said. The leaders of the three countries said in a shared statement that the project, called the Global Combat Air Program, will be an equal partnership in which costs are shared and that it will bring economic benefits such as jobs and investment to all three countries. All right, and here we've got some pictures, probably with some important people and some planes. Let's get right to this discussion. All right. So again, I'm going to read the question. I'll answer it. You can either hit pause before I answer it or after. If you want to listen to my answer first, then you can answer. You can add things at the end, like say you agree with something or you disagree with something, or you can hit pause before I answer. You can say what you think and then listen and see if we have similar ideas, whatever you like. Number one, what are your thoughts on the Global Combat Air Program? Man, I don't like war. I don't like military things, to be honest with you. But I guess it's kind of needed, especially when it comes to like defense, to defend your own country. And it seemed like they were talking about it's more like a defense to improve their defense systems. So it's not like they want to increase their military power so that they can, you know, start making trouble. It's just so that other people cannot mess with them. So I kind of get that, but man, I really hope maybe someday, way in the future, we can just get past all this military and wars and the need for power. Yeah, I hope so. But again, at the moment, it's probably needed. Um, but just think, you know, if you look at every country, the military budget, if they can take that money and just push it back into education and into programs and support for families and to make the country better for their people, you can you know, in a generation or two, it can just increase a country so much. But now there's the threat of war always lurking, so people have to have these defense systems, which is a pity. It's really a pity. Number two, do you find it surprising that Japan wants to increase its defense spending? No, I don't find it surprising because didn't they have problems with North Korea, where, you know, they were kind of in range of North Korea's missiles, so and they had these threats of missile launches from North Korea, so I can understand why they want to increase the defense spending. What nations would you say pose the greatest security threats in your region? Ooh, in my region, I live in Thailand, so in my region, I guess you could probably, but it's not like a threat for Thailand. Who's going to threaten Thailand? I don't think anybody's a threat, but I mean, I suppose China, if they decide for whatever reason, China's a threat to everybody. But I assume because they're in Asia, maybe. Yeah. But I don't think anybody wants anything, you know, they don't have a need to cause a problem. So they don't, Thailand doesn't have a threat really. What nations would you say pose the greatest security? No, that's what I just read. Sorry. Number four, what nations are your country's closest allies? Oh, again. I don't know who's their closest allies. I have no idea. I know Thailand is part of what they call ASEAN, like ASEAN, and that's all the Southeast Asian Assembly of Southeast Asian Nations or something like that. So probably all the Southeast Asian nations. Number 5, what nations do you think your country should pursue closer ties with? Um, I don't know. Maybe maybe China, because they've got a lot of money, they're very powerful. But again, if you if you're a small country and you kind of become close, you create closer bonds with a super nation like China, all of a sudden you might have an influx of money, and then as soon as you're like, oh wow, this is very nice, and they start making all sorts of funny demands, and it's like, oh, but just a little year, just change a little year, and just change a little year, and all of a sudden you're in a very difficult position because you gave up so much to create this good relationship, and you got a lot of benefit from it, but you're giving up who you are. So I don't know. Just maybe just keep peace with everybody. Don't try and create close ties with this one nation. Further discussion. Number 1, do you know anyone who has served in the Air Force? Yes, I do. A friend of mine, he served in the Air Force, and he actually became in South Africa. I'm originally from South Africa. He became, they have this elite flying squad that they do all these acrobatic maneuvers and shows and things as a part in the military, and he was part of that, and now he's flying for an airline. Seemed like a nice job. Seems quite nice. The airline, working for the airline. I have a lot of friends that work as pilots for airlines, um, but just the one that I know that worked in the Air Force. Number 2, do you expect the number of armed conflicts around the world to increase or decrease over the next few decades? I hope it will decrease. I really hope it'll decrease. There's no need for war anymore. We don't need fighting with guns. You can fight with businesses and try and create, how can I say it? Not just make a business and make it successful, get a lot of money, and with money comes power, kind of like that. So create power with money, not with guns. That's what I would say. I don't like guns, so yeah. Hmm. I hope it decreases. Number 3, are you interested in military history? What conflicts have you learned about? I'm interested in it, but not that much that I'm gonna go read up books about what happened and read about all the history. It's just I find it interesting about human nature and how humans have always had this need for power and need for me against us against them. They had these separate groups and tribes throughout history that's like us against them. And I think with globalization, that's not needed anymore. Everybody needs everybody else, so we all need one another and we all benefit from one another. So why do you want to fight? Why do you want to have wars? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't like it, but for some reason it seemed like it's been in our history for too long to say that it's not a part of human nature. But hopefully, as we evolve, as we get more sophisticated through time, although I don't know if we actually if we that a lot more sophisticated, because you always think like, oh, um, if you watch a movie about the gladiators back in those days, they fought with swords and they'll chop off a person's arm, or they send somebody into an arena and fight a lion. It's like, oh, these savage times. They have slaves. But now, slavery, you think like, oh, slavery, there's no more slavery in America where everybody talks, but slavery is a very big problem in the world. There's so many slaves in the world right now, and people just like, it's not here, so it's not my problem, you know. So I don't think we're that sophisticated. If slavery is still a problem, if people get forced to do jobs, if people get forced to have become like prostitutes, um, these are slavery is a very, very big thing. Not just women prostitutes, like male slaves working, like laboring. It's real. It's out there. Read it up. You can find it. So to say that we are civilized society is like, yeah, we've got technology, but civilized, I don't know. In some cities, we've got people abiding by certain rules, but there's a lot of nastiness out there in the world. All right. Number 4, have you seen any military equipment or vehicles up close? Um, yeah, when I was younger, we went to some military where they show like tanks and aircrafts and things like that, but not really up close that much, and also not any new technology. I watched a video today, um, where was some former spy that talked about what what weapons scare him the most, and he talked about, what did he say? The ballistic, no, not ballistic, hypersonic missiles, which means it travels 5 times faster than the speed of sound. Um, and it's very difficult for radars to detect it. So it's a weapon that will kill you before you even know. You know, it like hits, yeah, it's so fast that it just hits you before it's even. And these kind of things are just like crazy if you think about the 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 power that military weapons have now. It's just scary. It's crazy. So I haven't seen anything like that up close. All right, number 5. If you want peace, prepare for war. Latin proverb. What are your thoughts on this proverb? Yeah, um, I guess so. That's what I said earlier with Japan prob increasing its defense system. So you prepare for war, you defend, you have weapons, or you have these defense systems, and then people would be too scared to attack you. So you would have peace because you are a threat. It's who's made that expression? Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. You know, it's a similar kind of a thought. Rather be something that's dangerous, but then keep peace instead of just somebody that doesn't have a choice. And if someone attacks them, then you're in trouble. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a it's a tricky one. Like me, I don't have any guns, so I don't have no weapons. I have nothing. I can fight. I do a lot of boxing. I've had a lot of boxing fights. I did a bit of BJJ. So if you hand to hand, yeah, I can fight you. But if you pull a gun on me, I'm a gardener in a in a war. Um, but hopefully, I believe I live in a civilized, like I said, as civilized as what we have today, that I don't have to worry about equipping myself with weapons. But if war happens, I might be a gardener in a war. So yeah. All right. Anyway, guys, that is it then. That is everything for this one. Excuse me. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, anything you don't agree with, anything you agree with, put it in the comments. Let's have a discussion. All right. See you guys next time. Bye bye.